when it comes down to it, what you do makes a huge, lasting, four-generation impression. You
You could have stopped there and it would have been great. That's good. That's good stuff.
This is the Professional Stepdad, a place where we share stories, strategies, and ideas for men just like you to help answer that one important question: how can I be a better stepdad?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Professional Stepdad Podcast, episode 9. Today was it's going to be a pretty interesting show because I ended up going to visit one of my friends. His name's Cavin, who is also a stepdad. And we tried one of those James Corbin, is it Corbin? Yeah, James Corbin ride-along, where we talk about his life, but in a car, so kind of like the carpool karaoke thing, but we ended up talking about his journey as a stepdad. You can see I'm in my car, and I'm going to be joined today by my good friend Cavin Gray. Cavin, what's going on, man?
What's up, buddy?
Thanks for helping me out.
Hey, thanks for having me here, dude.
You cool with this whole driving thing? Yeah?
Oh, heck yeah.
Okay.
Especially if we have AC. This is great.
All right, here we go.
This is awesome, dude. Thanks for having me on.
So, like anything you do in production or when you're creating a show or you're trying to put out information, not everything always goes right. So we ended up having a lot of technical difficulties. The phone overheated about 50 times. But definitely a cool concept, and I'm going to be bringing that whole idea to, into a bigger scope. Like, I want to do more shows on the road. Like, I want to interview other stepdads that are in the grind, going through a journey that can't necessarily make it to my studio / office to come for the interview. So I'll go to them. And the reason I'm willing to do that and to go out of my way for that, obviously, is because I believe that there is a lot of beneficial, useful information that everyone needs to hear. So I want to give you a little bit of a backstory to the clip that I am going to share with you guys today, because we did get a piece of his story that I think is going to be helpful for everybody that listens. So Cavin is an amazing man. He stepped up. He fell in love with his wife. Her name is Shay, and Shay had a daughter. Her name is Carter, and Shay and her then, I think it was her boyfriend. I'm not exactly sure if Carter's dad, if they were married, but they ended up splitting because obviously they didn't have, they had a lot of differences. There was a lot of alcohol and drugs involved. But here's the cool part. The cool part is that Cavin stepped up. He immediately fell in love with Shay. I wish I would have caught that part of the story because he tells the moment that he was he knew he needed to be there when he felt that love and admiration from Carter, almost the very first time they ever met. And the journey that he, the steps that he took in order to develop this relationship with his now wife, Shay. And they went through a lot of struggles, a lot of ups and downs, like every couple, like every stepmom or stepdad or parents that are going through divorce and are inviting a new someone into their life. There's always going to be that learning curve, right? There's always going to be that time where you need to see what works, see what doesn't, get on the same page when it comes to parenting methods. And that's going to be what the next episode episode 10 is going to be dedicated to the good guy, bad guy drama that happens within homes. But this clip that I'm going to show you is specifically the moment where Cavin knew that all the hard work that he had put into Shay and to Carter over the years was finally about to pay off. Now, he didn't know it was coming. He didn't expect anything. But Cavin was committed to the consistency of being there, to showing up, to being dependable. And because of that, because of all the hard work he did, behind closed doors where nobody was watching, it ended up coming to light in one amazing moment when Carter's dad called Cavin and Shay and said, hey, I would like to meet with you guys. Is it possible? So Cavin and Shay decided to go meet with them to find out what was going on. And they left Carter, I think, with their grandma. And they went to sit down. And Cavin, again, not expecting anything, was taken back by what happened, which was a defining moment in his life as a stepdad, as a dad, as a husband, and as a man. To know that all the hard work and effort that you put in does have a payday. So this is his little section of his story. Like I said, I wish I would have, the camera would have recorded more. I will probably have Cavin back on because you all need to hear his story. But I'm really, really excited for you guys to hear what happens and even see what happens because I recorded it. So enjoy.
So what was really cool, so Mitch sat us down. He after this relationship that he was in fell apart with this girl that was telling him to really stick his claws into Carter and fight for his rights, that kind of stuff, which he didn't want. After that relationship failed, and we were very thankful. We're like, thank you, Lord, for
Yeah.
for letting that take its course, because it was a rough time. You know, you have waves of rough times.
Mhm.
And he called Shay up, and he said, hey, I want to meet with you guys. And she said, okay, we can meet at this time. So we met at Starbucks, and Carter was being watched by grandma at the time. And so he sat us down and he said, okay, so I just want to say that I really, you guys are doing an amazing job with Carter. I'm sorry for the stress that I've caused. I really want to step back, and I want to let you do what you guys want to do with Carter. I will sign paperwork, that kind of stuff. I will give up my rights, that kind of thing.
Wow.
And you go, if
That's
you're
a
watching,
weird
it's
switch.
like,
Is he dying?
right? We're going, what the heck happened? And I asked him, I said, why are you doing this? And why is it now that you trust me to be the father figure in your daughter's life?
Great question.
And he said, well, you've proved yourself. And I thought that was really interesting because I proved myself by being consistent. I loved Carter. I was consistent. I provided for her. And he was able to see that.
Yeah.
But to his credit, that takes a lot of guts. And I think that was a really important point in his life, that he, whether it was for that moment or it was leading up to that and now he's like that, I'm not sure, but he stopped, and this was going against the advice that he was still getting from his mom and from
The
other people, the others, right? That think they know what's best. And he gave up his rights and signed paperwork and stuff over the next couple of weeks, and it was.
Question: Did you feel like you took a deep
away.
breath, like almost like it was like?
Oh yeah, huge.
It's cool
It
that
was
you
amazing.
even got to that point, brother. Because
Yeah.
because there are plenty of stepdads out there that will never get to that point.
Well, and here's my advice for the people that are in that situation. Just be consistent. Focus on your daughter, stepdaughter, but focus on your daughter. Be consistent and love her, support her, love your wife or your girlfriend, whoever that's going to be. Understand that this is it's either an on or off. You know, you can't just step into your wife's life or your girlfriend's life, be there for a little bit, step away, do your own thing, come back in, step away, because that just wreaks havoc on your stepdaughter or your soon-to-be stepdaughter.
Yeah.
You have to be consistent, and it's another layer, it's another level of responsibility that you have to have. And that's something that I had to understand, is that I can't just be thinking about myself. And for a long time I was, and
Selfishness.
and
It's
until
okay.
you
It's
realize
that
that
selfish thing that we have.
yeah, and until you actually see that in yourself, or you have someone who points that out to you, that, hey, dude, you're being extremely selfish, knock it off. it's bigger than you.
It's bigger than you.
It's bigger than you.
Guys, I think that's the biggest takeaway from any episode that I'll ever do, is that it's bigger than you. I mean, it's so much bigger than any of us, but our job is not to try to solve every problem and try to make every situation, good, bad, right or wrong, go the way we want it to go. Sometimes we have to go with the flow. But I think if you're trying to handle your life right now as a step parent, as a stepdad, as a leader, as the man in your house, like your dad did, or like you're the men in your life did, or the people in your circle of influence did.
That's good. Yep.
It's not going to work, because here's the thing. The thing is that you're going to try to implement habits, rituals, routines that
are familiar.
You're going to try to that are familiar. But the thing is, you'll do it unconsciously. You won't even realize you're doing it. Like I did an episode 2 days ago where I talk about how I've been working on myself probably longer than anybody I know. You know, we're talking 15 years I've been working on myself. Constant. Ever since, when I was 26, I started. And yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, whatever episode that was, I found myself being condescending to my wife in the kitchen. She said something. I was very condescending what she said, like almost like I didn't care with what she said. And I blew it off like it wasn't a big deal. But guess what? Because I did the self-work, the old me would have just let it be, because hell, she said something, I made her feel dumb, she'll get over it, kind of thing. That was the old kind of ways of doing things. But because I did the work, I was aware to understand that, holy shit, I just made a mistake, big mistake, because there's no reason. She didn't deserve it. She wasn't like trying to pick a fight or anything. So I was aware enough to go back into the kitchen and say, hey, it's on me, my bad.
But
right?
You don't have to be perfect, and that's
right.
the thing. And that's one of the greatest things in life, and things that you have to understand, is that you don't have to be perfect. And I'm an improviser, as you know, so I mean that speaks to that a ton. That look, you don't have to be perfect. If you make a mistake, it's okay. And I'm trying to figure this out myself too. It is so hard, because
it's a lot of work.
The more you do self-reflective work and you work on yourself, you're like, okay, I'm getting better and better, and you're building on this success. And then when you have a time like that, or you're not a good parent, you say something wrong to them, or you blow them off, you screw up. It's so hard to take that and think that, okay, that's not back to square one. It's okay. It's a sidestep.
Yeah,
it's a sidestep.
It's a sidestep. Guys, the fuck ups and the mistakes are okay. They're okay. There's nothing wrong with them. The question is that, what do you do next? That will forever be the thing that matters, because there are the narrative around stepdads and the narrative around men that are put in our position in general is not a good narrative at all. The story of our history, I say our history almost like we're, but the story of the stepdad origin, or whatever you want to call it, is definitely one of tragedy and not a lot of triumph. But with like a hit home moment, like I said, Cavin, earlier, that there are a lot of men out there that are not struggling, because we all struggle. It's crossing their mind to either, I don't need this in my life, I don't deserve this, I didn't sign up for this, or
life wasn't supposed to be this hard.
Or how about this? How about this? How about some of the information that I've delivered, or they can get from things from other stepdads that are going through it, that they're like, well, that won't work for me because, or that, my situation's different. I'm very hard hitting on the fact that it doesn't matter. Literally, it doesn't matter. If you do the simple little tiny things, the bigger things will take care of themselves, or the bigger things will work themselves out. But I'm wanting people to take care of the tiny things. So, guys, coming from another stepdad that is out there like you, that is either been in the position that you're in right now, climb the mountain that you're getting ready to climb. I want to make sure you're hearing this from him. Go ahead.
So I think it comes down to this. Like what you were saying about the little things, it's staying consistent with those little things. It's doing what's right, regardless, because it's the position that we're in is not a very glamorous one. There's a lot of negative press out there too about stepdads. Stepdads are, You know, right? But it's when it comes down to it, what you do makes a huge, lasting, 4-generation impression. You
could have stopped there and it would have been great. That's good. That's good stuff. Holy cow. I didn't think about that. The way you just put it. Lasting generation impression. Equals you matter. Wow. It's good, man. That's really, really good.
Oh, I'm smart. No, but I think, you know what's great about this is that one thing that I love that you're doing is getting stories of stepdads so that we can all see this, so we can all hear it, and we can all talk about our circumstances and our experiences and realize that, hey, we're in this together. You know, you're not doing this alone, even though it feels like you're alone. Because I know for me, there's many, many times it feels like I'm just in the trenches by myself doing this with no reward. There's no glamour. There's no fame from it. If you're a good stepdad, you don't get extra rewards and
or are you recognized by many people?
Ticket tape parades and that kind of stuff. You're not getting a band following you around. But if you're a bad stepdad, you get all the negative. You get all the negative press. You get a terrible relationship with your kids. You get a terrible relationship with your wife. You get a terrible relationship with yourself because you feel like a horrible person when you're messing up
and not trying.
So, but with that being said, we're in this together, and so I think it's really cool that you had me on the show and
of course,
talking about my experience and hearing all the other experiences from all these other guys out there. So,
all right, guys, this is episode 9 of the Professional Stepdad Podcast. I'm your host, Franco Zavala. Thank you very much for being here, for joining us, joining my friend Cavin Gray and hearing his story. And
Absolutely.
We will see you guys later.
Quiet on the set, please. Thank you, everybody.